Hey everybody, this is the Colin O'Reilly Show. Welcome back. This week I'm going to be talking about theoretical spacecraft and their engines that could one day be used to explore the universe. And for the third week in a row now, I'll be closing things out with the East Coast UFO mystery drone extravaganza of New Jersey that just seems to be getting weirder and weirder while the White House seems to be in extreme denial mode. Hashtag Roswell. This week at a press conference, Trump said that Biden and the Pentagon know the real truth about the drones and that he himself was recently briefed on them, but Trump said he could not comment on any information he may have received. Pretty weird. The White House keeps releasing statements saying that all of the sightings are just conventional aircraft being mistaken for drones or what have you. Meanwhile, on TikTok, there are more and more compelling UFO eyewitness videos being uploaded every day. And airports and military bases around the US are having to close their airspace, even recently causing New York Governor Kathy Hochul to say, enough is enough, quote unquote, and demanding answers from the Pentagon. Fascinating times indeed. By the end of this episode, you're going to have learned everything you have always wanted to know about theoretical space engines. And if anyone happens to glance in your direction or make eye contact with you in public, you can quickly update them on the mystery drones of New Jersey and what they might mean for humanity. Okay, but first up, let's do this. Exploring the universe and the endless sea of existence we call reality. Since the beginning of the space race and even the Wright brothers, when they invented the first airplane, humans have relied on the combustion engine to propel their vehicles on ground or in the air or in outer space. But due to the incredible size of the universe, scientists think that we may need something more advanced than the old fashioned combustion engines that require traditional gasoline and have exhaust. Saudi Arabia is going to be furious. But the universe is really, really big, and even that's an understatement. Our sun is an M-class star. M like medium stands for medium size. And there are also smaller stars that are owned. Those are known as dwarf stars, or as I call them, Joe Rogan stars. There are also much larger stars than that. And even our sun is ginormous. Just being a medium sized star, you could still fit 1 million planet Earths inside it. If you were cruising in a sunproof airplane at like 30,000 feet above the surface of the sun, it would still take you about 1,000 years to complete one orbit. I just think that's crazy to me. And if we pull back our perspective to view the Milky Way, our home galaxy as a whole, if we could take a selfie with the Milky Way, we'd see that it has an estimated 250 to 400 billion other stars within it besides just our sun. And according to the latest Kepler probe data, there are an estimated 2 planets for each star located in a galaxy like our own. That's a lot of real estate. Our galaxy is 100,000 light years across. So if you were traveling at the speed of light, or about 660 million miles per hour, aka about 9 times around the Earth per second, it would still take you 100,000 years to cross from one side of our galaxy to the other. And that's just our one galaxy. Space is ginormous. According to the most recent scientific estimates, there are a lot more stars in the universe than there are both blades of grass and grains of sand on Earth combined, or even multiplied together. In fact, there are more galaxies out there than all of the molecular particles that make up all the blades of grass and sand on Earth combined. That's just mind blowing. And galaxies like our Milky Way group or clump together with each other, driven under the force of gravity. Galactic small formations, also known as galaxy groups, are collections of like a few to several dozen galaxies bound together by gravity. Larger galactic groups are known as galaxy clusters, and they are some of the largest known structures in the universe. They can contain hundreds to thousands of galaxies that are also bound together by gravity. And then from those larger galactic clusters form what are known as galactic filaments. These are the largest known structures in the universe. They form a cosmic web that connects galaxy clusters and what are known as galaxy nodes together across the whole cosmos. Just imagine almost like a spider web of galaxies uh, connected all across the universe. And these galactic filaments can span hundreds of millions of light years in length. That's just mind blowing. That's hard to even conceptualize that size or the distances involved. Some scientists and philosophers think that the universe is infinite, that it goes on forever, which would mean there are an infinite amount of galaxies and stars and planets that make up the cosmos. What kind of vehicles or scientific instruments in the future might humans build to explore, observe, or measure such vast cosmic scales of time and space? Although even those galactic filaments, the largest structures known to humans to exist in the universe, they have really cool nicknames in science. Astronomers call those filaments the ends of greatness or the fingers of God. Unimaginably huge. But even those galactic filaments indicate to some physicists that we exist within an even larger multiverse, like a sea of universes that is sometimes referred to as the omniverse. There's a famous Einstein quote in which he says, "Nature shows us only the tail of the lion. He cannot reveal himself to us all at once because of his huge dimensions. We see the lion only the way a flea that sits upon him would." That's Einstein's way of saying that nature, reality, the universe is massive, so massive that we may never be able to perceive it all. But that was almost 100 years ago. What about today? What are physicists working on, even just theoretically, that could tackle some of these problems that just a few decades ago seemed insurmountable? One idea that I've always really liked is the concept of a multiverse telescope. I read about this in Popular Science when I was a kid, and this theoretical device would be constructed like a normal telescope with mirrors that would collect and focus photons, which are particles of light. But a multiverse telescope would use quantum technology to store that photonic light information as qubits. And these qubits could be entangled. Entanglement is a quantum phenomenon where particles become inherently interconnected, and the state of one particle instantly influences the state of its partner particle, no matter the distance, even if they're on opposite sides of the universe from each other. By using entangled qubits, the multiverse telescope could process photonic information with unprecedented speed and accuracy. This would allow it to detect subtle anomalies or patterns in its data that might indicate the presence of other universes or dimensions. For example, certain cosmic signals or gravitational waves could carry information about parallel universes or alternate realities. A multiverse telescope would be the coolest device ever since the iPad. There's a religious historian named Diana Pasulka who is a professor of religious studies at the University of North Carolina, and she's been writing really cool books lately about studying UFOs. And in her latest book, Encounters, she talks about a NASA space psychiatrist who helps astronauts mentally prepare for new or strange psychological experiences while in space. She talks about how some astronauts undergo what is known as the overview effect, in which some people become aware of an even larger environment than our regular universe while they are in space. They begin to perceive a reality beyond our normal cosmos that is sometimes referred to as hyperspace. And in the book, it is mentioned that some of these astronauts get a strong mental impression that there are gigantic, mind bending alien creatures that exist within that larger, uh, encompassing hyperspace, um, and that some of the perceptions or impressions or feelings they get can induce panic attacks or extreme feelings of existential dread or fear. And this NASA scientist is interviewed in this book, talks about how she mentally helps astronauts mentally prepare for such new or strange or frightening experiences. And again, the name of that nonfiction book is Encounters, and it's written by Diana Pasulka, and that's P like Paul, A S like Sam, ULKA, and everyone listening should read it. It's amazing. But it really made me wonder after I listened to the book on tape version of Encounters, how might humans one day explore that larger hyperspace reality? I mean, so far the record for human distance traveled into space is about 8 light seconds, which is how far light can travel 8 seconds in a vacuum, which is not very far on cosmic distance scales. Using current propellant based modern day rocketry, it would take thousands and thousands of years just to get to our nearest star, Proxima Centauri, which is only like 4.5 light years away. But some super smart scientists in 2016 came up with what I think is a rad idea to overcome these cosmic limitations humans have found themselves stuck within. It's called Project Starshot, and they're trying to raise money for it. They're trying to get funding right now to build a fleet of postage stamp size space probes that they will build by the thousands. Think of like a swarm of tiny sugar cube size satellites out in space, and each one will have what looks like a little sail on it, or like a little parachute. And these are solar sails, and they'll be released into space via a rocket, like you might release a satellite. And then on Earth, you'll have a giant, powerful laser, which would blast these little space probes, or they call them star shots, I guess. It would blast them to our nearest star, Proxima Centauri. And the founders of this project, they say on their website, they think within 20 years, it doesn't say if it's a continual shot or just, I would guess it's probably an intermittent blasts of laser light throughout the probe's journey over these 4.5 light years. But they say within 20 Earth years, they think they could reach 99% the speed of light. which would be like 650 million miles an hour, which would be so cool to see. I mean, the physics must work out because they seem pretty smart, and people are giving them money. So hopefully, in the future, we'll get to see it play out. I think that's such a clever, smart way instead of just building bigger and bigger rockets, to build smaller ones that are more cleverly engineered, I guess you could say. But would there be a way we could even go smaller than that, I wondered. This month in Popular Mechanics, there's a really cool article in which some quantum physicists propose building a quantum computer and molecular manipulation device to try to teleport a human over physical space, aka beam me up, Scotty. Think of the teleporter system in Star Trek, in which Star Trek crew members could be beamed from a ship in orbit around a planet down to the surface below. This method of transportation would be known as quantum teleportation, and with such recent technological advancements in things like AI and quantum computing, these physicists in this Popular Mechanics article really think that within the next few years we will have the technology to start teleporting humans across gigantic distances. Um, but one of the things they left out in Star Trek and physicists now are starting to grapple with is the moral and ethical questions quantum teleportation brings up. Because what they don't talk about in the Star Trek show, but they do within these scientific experiments, is that to transport a human through the use of quantum technology, you have to first disassemble them on a molecular or quantum level, which would kill them, and then you're rebuilding them somewhere else, essentially printing their molecules and arranging them back into their previous atomic state, uh, and recreating them again. And scientists wonder, will their soul, if humans have souls, go with them? Will their consciousness be altered? Will they be the same person when they get disintegrated and rebuilt somewhere else? It's a fascinating philosophical dilemma to think about. Famous television and real life astronomer, and I think cooler version of Neil deGrasse Tyson, Michio Kaku, has been quoted in interviews lately stating that he believes there is an alien superhighway present in the universe, in which aliens are using quantum teleportation to sort of deconstruct or quantize their bodies into pure consciousness and surf around the universe on waves of lasers or photons or gravity waves, what have you. Just a really, really fascinating concept or uh, way to travel across the universe when it comes to quantum teleportation. I love thinking about the possibilities. Would be so cool to be able to teleport to work or to Maui or the moon or to a skate park or library. It would be so cool. Kind of weird to think about, though, that you're essentially on a molecular level destroying and rebuilding your entire body each time you're teleported. Um, but if you didn't notice or it didn't hurt, then that's cool. I would totally do it. I would do it all the time. And speaking of time, some physicists now think that there's no such thing as time, that our universe is a hologram, that we live in a holographic universe. They, uh, they assert that our three dimensional universe is actually a projection of information stored on a two dimensional surface at its boundary. This idea, known as the holographic principle, suggests that the volume of space we perceive is just an illusion, and that the true nature of the cosmos is encoded in a lower dimensional space. And fascinating fact, this latest physics concept that's found itself in vogue, the holographic principle, was first originated by a writer named Michael Talbot, who originally wrote a book in the late 80s titled The Holographic Universe, which explores the parallels between ancient mysticism and quantum mechanics. He claimed that his inspiration for the book came from mystical and paranormal experiences. Uh, he reported that he was an alien abductee and that aliens told him of this concept of the holographic principle over the course of his several encounters with ET. He passed away at only 38 years old from cancer, and I just had to give him a shout out. I think he is an icon of science, and he was way ahead of his time. And which finally brings me to my point. A theoretical device known as the Holographic Universal Existence Scanner. Based on the holographic principle, which again suggests that all the information contained within our three dimensional universe is encoded on a lower two dimensional boundary surface, this holographic existence scanner would employ ultra sensitive quantum sensors capable of detecting minute fluctuations and anomalies within the quantum states of particles. These sensors would be designed to pick up data from various dimensions or layers of reality. The scanner would collect vast amounts of data, including quantum states, gravitational waves, possibly cosmic microwave background radiation, and other cosmological signals. The data would then be processed using powerful quantum computers utilizing qubits to analyze and interpret any complex patterns found within. By analyzing any patterns or anomalies in the collected data, the scanner could potentially detect hints of other universes or dimensions. These patterns might reveal the interactions between other universes, our universes, or parallel realities. The holographic scanner could create a multi-dimensional map of a larger universe that we're unable to perceive on our own, illustrating any relationships or connections between these different universes. This multiverse map could help scientists visualize and study the structure of any surrounding realities or larger omniverse. Quantum computers would analyze the findings and could potentially provide visualizations of any potential alternate realities. And I just wanted to point out something I think is really cool uh, regarding the holographic principle, which again states that our 3D universe is a projection whose source is a lower dimensional 2D boundary that we're like a projection of, almost that there's like a two-dimensional piece of film somewhere, and that our universe is sort of like a projection, a 3D projection of a lower 2D dimensional piece of cosmic movie film somewhere. I just think that's really cool. And a place within the universe this is already theorized to be taking place is within black holes. Black holes are surrounded by what's known as an event horizon, which is a two dimensional boundary surrounding a black hole. It's sort of like a border for black holes. Once anything, even light, crosses that event horizon, it can never cross back out again. It's forever trapped within the boundaries of the black hole. And in the center of all large galaxies within our universe are found supermassive black holes, which some scientists philosophize or speculate could lead to other universes, um, or which could have their own universes encompassed within them. And from the outside, we would never know because the information would never be able to cross back out of their event horizon due to the immense gravity uh, within them. Black holes sort of become gravity loops, and they have so much gravity, they sort of rip a hole in the fabric of space time, what's known as a singularity. And it's like a very small point of which everything is just all the matter within that black hole is compacted into. And some scientists think that that singularity becomes what's known as a white hole, or like a big bang somewhere else in some other parallel reality or dimension. Which is kind of cool or crazy to think about, that our universe is essentially like a big beehive or honeycomb of these galactic strands that are all connected to each other across the cosmos. And then within each galaxy is a black hole at the center, which could lead to its own universe somewhere else. Just crazy to think about. Um, and it made me wonder, even if we could perceive a larger universal structure through something like a quantum existence scanner, how might we travel that larger cosmic construct? Some physicists have proposed a theoretical device known as a quantum reality drive. And this theoretical vehicle or probe would allow travel between these different universes or realities by manipulating their quantum state. The drive would leverage quantum entanglement and superpositions to access and navigate parallel universes or alternate realities. I thought maybe we could put one in like a Ford Mustang. That would be awesome. By creating quantum states that span multiple realities, the quantum reality drive could theoretically allow for instantaneous travel or communication across vast distances, bypassing the conventional limitations of space time. Such a drive could also revolutionize space exploration, enabling travel to distant galaxies in a fraction of the time currently required. It could also open up new possibilities for understanding the nature of reality and the surrounding multiverse. The technology would require overcoming immense technical hurdles, but I'm sure the kids in the future will figure it out. And if we're going to travel to these different realities, as humans, we may need to augment our own brains eventually, or mental abilities to perceive such alien environments as we're looking out the windows of our quantum reality driven Ford Mustang. I think in the future we'll be hearing a lot more about devices known as brain machine interfaces, like Neuralink, which that terrible, racist, fascist, rich guy Elon Musk is starting to sell to the public. You might have heard about it in the news. It's a type of microchip or computer device that can be essentially installed in your head, hooked up to your brain. It has some really good benefits. It allows the handicapped to communicate with the outside world. They can move mouse cursors mentally, or their wheelchairs. They can play video games. Uh, in the future, the company says people who have the Neuralink devices, each installed, will be able to essentially talk to each other telepathically or silently via texting with their minds to each other. But what about in the future when we can combine brain machine interfaces with quantum AI? We could potentially revolutionize our understanding or perceptions of reality and different dimensions. Along the same lines of mental augmentation, I had a weird idea, and I looked up online to see if there was any experiments being done, and there are, on the drugs, the psychedelic drug known as DMT, where users often describe an out of body experience in which they find themselves sometimes on an alien ship or an alien world that seems to transcend our own reality and is filled with strange beings or creatures. Researchers have been conducting studies where participants receive long term intravenous drips of DMT to explore the nature of the experience for long durations of time, then come back and are debriefed and record their experiences, where the goal is to document and map uh, through the extensive period of time users spend under the influence, uh, whether the DMT induced world is a shared, consistent experience, another place that is visited communally among users of DMT, or is just instead a self generated delusion. In these studies, participants report vivid, immersive, intense experiences in which they describe a feeling of having been somewhere else or to an alternate reality. These volunteers, known as psychonauts, some scientists say could be the pioneers of a new frontier that will one day allow humans, under the guidance of science and quantumized AI, to mentally alter or one day, some say, enhance humans to perceive other forms of reality that we are unable to normally. Uh, Pretty crazy stuff. Um, yeah. The author I mentioned earlier, 5 hours ago at the beginning of this episode, Diana Pasulka, the religious scholar who's been recently writing books about the UFO phenomenon in cooperation with the US government. And there's some pretty crazy stuff in there, but she interviews in her latest book, again known as Encounters, a CEO, the head or founder of a startup tech company. And this sounds crazy, but in the book, it, it talks about how this CEO, she meets with her employees or the executives at her company within their dreams. Apparently, scientists now believe that our consciousness, when we are dreaming or sleeping, goes to another place or another realm. And apparently, some people out there with access to technology or whatnot are able to access this world and converse with each other within this dream state, which I just think is insane. And now there are talks or reports of scientists trying to build technologies within that world. Um, I just think that's very, very fascinating. Some alien abductees or experiencers, as they are known, uh, they will sometimes recount interactions with, this sounds nuts, but aliens, uh, and that some of the aliens tell them when humans ask where they are from, they say we are from these dream worlds, these places that humans consider unconscious states, that other beings themselves consider their normal everyday universes. I think it's really cool. Some conspiracy theorists, they suggest that maybe that's why Area 51 is called Dreamland, is because sometimes beings from these other dream worlds are able to construct technologies to travel to what we Earth, what we consider our normal physical world. Maybe that's how flying saucers or alien vehicles that are reported to have been recovered by the US government operate. Maybe that's why humans are having such a hard time, is reported by these various whistleblowers lately who've testified in Congress. Maybe that's why our government agencies are having such a hard time figuring out these craft. Some people theorize that craft like flying saucers would traverse through mental states, um, that different beings could experience rather than physical space time as we know it within our universe today. We always hear governments re- trying to reverse engineer alien craft to build weapons. I hope one day in the future, um, the whole world goes democratic and just democracy so we could start to reverse engineer such ET craft to explore the universe or existence. It seems like reality is just an endless sea that it just never ends, whether it's our physical cosmos, our dreams, parallel universes, um, hyperspace, inner space. It just seems like it goes on forever, that no matter where we look, there is no boundaries to existence or reality. I can't wait to see in the future, in the decades ahead, what scientists and even AI will come up with to explore that endless ocean of infinite universes. Fascinating, mind blowing stuff to think about. In closing us out today, finally, it's War of the Worlds 3. The drones are still live in the skies of New Jersey. UFOs are invading America and the world. In New Jersey, residents have again reported dozens of unidentified drone sightings. These unidentified objects have now shut down an airport as of last week in New York, causing the governor to demand answers from the White House. And then Trump, in a press conference the following day, called on President Biden and the Pentagon to release what he says is information they are withholding from the American public on the mystery drones. Though when asked if Trump himself had received a classified briefing on the same information, he said no comment and declined to answer. He did say, however, he was canceling his upcoming trip to whatever Bedminster is, I think it's a golf course, as a result of these unknown craft being repeatedly spotted in the area. The Biden White House has been saying again and again that these unidentified sightings are simply conventional aircraft that are being mistaken for mystery drones, though social media is continuing to be flooded with footage of unusual craft, and now even several television journalists are now recording the strange sightings across America and the world. Uh, Airports, military bases, nuclear power plants across the globe are continuing to document and now periodically closing their airspace due to these mystery objects. And the former governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie, has called upon the federal government to be more honest and forthright with the public about the matter. Last night, Senator Richard Blumenthal said while speaking to reporters after a closed door classified briefing on the sightings that the Pentagon and the federal government, quote, has no idea, no clue, no reliable information about these drones, end quote. Fascinating times. This morning, which would be Wednesday, December 18th, President Biden was asked by a reporter about the drones, and his answer was a little nebulous. People thought it was a little strange. Biden responded that, quote, apparently it's nothing nefarious, end quote. He said the military is looking into it, and he said he thinks it started, quote, with one, and then everybody else started sending drones up, end quote. That was all he said on the matter. To me, that seemed to imply that possibly some object originally did show up, which then caused other people, perhaps government agencies, to send up their own drones to investigate the original mystery object. When he said, "Oh, it started with one, it's nothing nefarious," I don't know. That's just me personally reading into it. Law enforcement have continued to witness these large car-sized anomalous craft, and many are stating online publicly they still don't believe the White House or the president is being honest. And I do have to say, after seeing Biden's interaction with the press this morning, I would also agree. I think it seems like the federal government is hiding something. Why are UFOs so sneaky? Are they going to eat us? I don't know. I hope not. But I think an interesting side note is that many of the recent USO federal UFO whistleblowers who have testified this year on Capitol Hill in various hearings under oath, in which they have revealed through testimony that they found the U.S. government to be hiding a secret UFO program. They are also now calling upon the White House to be more open and transparent on these mystery drones. They are saying that the federal government is lying and hiding what they know. They're implying that the government knows they're alien craft of some kind. Like everybody else, personally, I have no idea what's going on. I've just a regular guy. I've never seen any evidence of any sort of real UFO cover up. I'm not a journalist, but with all these sightings going on, with social media blowing up, with all this footage and these openly, publicly, seemingly frustrated government officials, ranging from governors to congressmen to senators, accusing the executive branch or the White House of stonewalling information on this issue, it does seem like something is going on. It appears that those in the military who are running these military bases and having to periodically close their airspace and then publicly reporting that information, um, as well as the journalists out in the field recording these crafts, are uh, in confliction with what the White House and the federal government is saying. It's fascinating, fascinating times. That is it for the show this week. I'm sorry it was so long. Thank you to anyone who made it this far. Um, Next week will, I'm sure, just be as nerdy as this one was. But thank you so much. I have a blast making these shows. I love science, and I'll make everyone else love it too. Thanks, guys. I'm on all the social media sites. There are so many. You can follow me anywhere the podcasts or people are on the internet, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, yada yada. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great week. Thank you, and happy holidays. Peace.